Hello, everybody. My name's John Barker. I work in the solutions team at PyData Metrics. And this is a new series for us, a new webinar series. And what this is going to be about is quick 20 to 30-minute hits of Pi. And we'll be focusing on different areas. Things such as competitor analysis will be coming up. But today's is all about the SERP features tools that we have in Pi. Okay, so let me just share my screen. And before I get started, there is a little bit of housekeeping I've got to do. So if you have any questions as we're going through today, drop them in the question panel and I'll try my very best to answer them at the end. If you feel like doing some reactions on today's chat, then stick them up there. If you like it, you don't, or you want to know any more, stick it in the reactions. This is being recorded, so if you're watching this later on or you want to share it with your team, you'll be able to do so. And the feedback as well is really important. So when we do any of these things, getting feedback about, do you like it? What more do you want to see from these sessions is really powerful. But what's also really good, if you've got any requests or ideas for future sessions as well. So please get in touch and let us know. Now, what we're going to go through today. So the SERP landscape is ever changing. I mean, if we went back about 10, 15 years ago, all we used to have in the SERPs really was classic blue links, okay? And over the years, Google's completely evolved. We've got so many new features, that things such as answer cards, knowledge panels, people also ask, newer ones like popular products. So the landscape is completely changed. And unless we've got the right tools to manage and understand that change, it's really difficult. So hopefully today what we'll do is we'll show you that SERP landscape and how it's changing. We're going to identify the most prominent features based on a particular category or a particular area or market. Then we're going to really start to get a little bit deeper into those features as well. And hopefully what we try and do is understand the insights and get an idea about the audience's search intent. And if you are here at the end as well, we are going to be giving you a little sneak peek into our new Feature Explorer. It's very much in beta at the moment, but very few people have seen it. So I thought I'd do my best today to show it off a little bit before it gets released. So that is where we are with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump into the app. Okay, so the app itself is pretty much made up of loads and loads of building blocks of data. And because of the way that we track the data, what we've got the ability to do in any dashboard, report, chart, table is we can start to include or exclude any types of SERP features. Now, in this particular dashboard, I picked one out. What you can see at the very top, very simply, is what market it is, what search engine it is, and so on. But we can then start to include SERP features or exclude them. And we, even in some reports and dashboards and charts, what we can also do is include certain ones that you want to look at. And that's kind of where I'm going to start. Okay, so one of the oldest tools and probably one of the original tools actually when Pi was first built was the competitor discovery tool. Okay, and our competitor discovery tool is still one of the most used to this day. But what we've done with it is actually evolved it. So if I go into the competitor discovery tool, what this will actually do is it will actually understand, based on a set of keywords and a market and a category, who are the best performing sites. But what we've done is we start to add an additional layer to that as well, SERP features. Okay, so what I can actually do is choose that I want to look at maybe one or two individual SERP features. So if I want to go after and look at just images based on, let's say, the gambling category in a particular market, what it will show me is, based on just images that return on any keyword, who is performing the best. A really simple but effective tool to really start our journey today. So like I said, it'll go through every single keyword and it will highlight which sites are performing the best for image searches around those keywords. Firstly, it will give you a nice visibility score. But what it really starts to do is actually tell you where they're positioned for those images as well. So we can see here we've got at the very beginning 1 to 3, very unlikely images are going to be there. 4 to 10, we've got about 7.8% of those sitting in 4 to 10 for Amazon, that is. Then 11 to 20 and so on. So from here, what we're really starting to get a really good understanding is from images around the gaming set of keywords that we've got tracked here, Amazon are really dominating in regards to the site that returns for the most amount of images. We've then got Walmart, Best Buy, and so on. As I go down the page, what we start to get a very clear indication is of actually how many keywords in total each of these sites actually return for. So you can see here, Amazon, out of all of the keywords in the gaming area, they return for 834 different keywords where they have an image returning for themselves. We get an average position on that, we get visibility. So what I'm going to go to next is the SERP radar. So the SERP radar allows us to actually look at keywords on a large scale. So that rather than looking at it on an individual keyword basis, we're actually grouping lots of key terms together to understand, well, how prominent are different SERP features. So if I go into gaming, and I'm going to use that one again, hopefully it's not going to break on me, what it's going to produce back is a radar of information around that particular category. So what it's doing, it's taken every single keyword in the gaming area and it's telling me how prominent different SERP features are around that particular area. So as you would expect, classic links are there 100% of the time. Okay. Really interestingly, we're starting to see people also ask, is there for nearly 95% of the time. It's a huge amount of information around what questions people are asking. Popular products is the third one, and then so on. What's really interesting when we're looking at this data, it also tells us what type of content we need to look at as well. So I can see here, video carousel is nearly 60% of the time, and video links nearly 14% of the time. So in the gaming area, in the US market, on a mobile, we know that video content is more often than not probably going to be returning in the top of the SERPs. So have we got our video strategy right, and are we returning in the best way possible? Again, images are quite prominent here as well, but again, that's only about 25% of the time. I would be thinking about my video content. What we can also do is actually, if we wanted to, we could change the date on that. How has that evolved since maybe going back 3 months? Is there now more video content than there was before? Or alternatively, we can actually start to say, well, how does that differ? So if I want to look at, I don't know, let's say sound and vision, and I want to look at TVs, okay, but also want to understand how a particular site performs around those particular features, I can do that as well. So I can select Amazon.com as an example. When I explore that, what it can start to do is, well, actually, popular products, when I look at this category, are even more prominent here. So popular products are getting more and more prominent, especially in the US, but we've started to see that in the UK as well. Video carousels, a little bit less, but video links more so. So there's still a huge amount of that. So what we can see is based on a particular category that we're going after, we can now start to understand the different types of content and the different features that are returning. Okay, so that defines our strategy. Okay, and that's looking at it on a big group level. So if we want to get really granular on this, we can do that as well. And if I wanted to go to the competitor discovery for my next actions and I wanted to see, well, what are the sites from competitor discovery that return, I could click onto there and I could go to there. Okay, but I'm not going to do that just yet. So before I do that, what I'm going to want to do next is, as I'm in the gaming category, I was looking at that, I now want to say to myself, well, what's been happening on a keyword level, especially when we're looking at these trophy terms that we want to go after. Okay, so if I now go to computing and I want to look at the search term, let's say PS5 as an example. Okay, I can select that search term, and what it's going to do, it's going to give me a humongous amount of information. Okay, this almost looks like a Jackson Pollock picture, but what this is actually showing me is the changing of the SERP landscape every single day for a particular keyword. That's how much data this really goes into. And what it starts to paint a picture of is actually, if I want to click on a day, I can now start to understand, well, what does the page actually look like? What's the wireframe of that page? I now know that there's product listing ads at the top. I know that there's classic links, then there's site links. more classic links, and then a knowledge panel. And as we go down the page, we're starting to get top stories, people also ask, and also video carousels. This is a really fruitful area. So if you're going after the search term PS5, you're probably thinking, well, I need to not only get my my traditional SEO correct, but my video content, is it optimized correctly? Are we answering the right questions? Are we with the right publishers? Because news content's getting in there as well. Now, every single one of these modules you can also click on as well. So if I want to look at top stories and who's in there, well, I can click on that module. I can see what news was about that day, who was owning that space as well. But for me, one of the most powerful things about looking at the data in this way is where we start to analyze the rows. So if I want to be at the very top, let's just say, well, actually, I can click onto here, position 1 at the very high click probability at the top of Google. I know that 100% of the time there's going to be ads. Okay. Well, actually, when I start to go down, maybe looking at position 5, well, more often than not, well, actually, that's quite a split when we're looking at the data in this way. 40% of the time, it's classic link. Sometimes it's top stories. Sometimes it's knowledge panels. So the SERP landscape's changing. So if I want to guarantee getting a classic link in there, I really need to be above position 5 with what I'm going after. And that does change your strategy, because old-fashioned SEOs, we will go, right, we need to get onto page 1, position 1, okay? But actually, that landscape's changed. It's more about having multiple doorways. John Earnshaw, and I'm sure if you've been on one of these before, you've heard him say a lot, is you need multiple doorways to go into your world. And what the SERPs are starting to tell us is these are all of the different doorways that you need to be optimized for, okay? So another thing that I've noticed here is, if I'm looking at this, there's loads of, pretty much every single day, people also ask, is there or thereabouts, okay? And what we've done is we've created a tool to really start to understand and bring all of that information together. If we now go into the content tools and click on the People Also Ask Explorer, what this starts to do is understand what are all of the questions in one singular category or subcategory. So again, if I want to choose gaming as an example, and I want to explore that, what it's going to do, it's going to go through every single search term and tell me multiple different pieces of information. Firstly, how often is it present? As we've seen, nearly 95% of the time. And just in one day alone, there's nearly 4,000 different questions to potentially collect and get understanding about. Of those 4,000 questions, they've got nearly 120 million views on them each and every month. So now what we need to understand is, well, who's currently owning that space? Who's answering most of those questions, which we can do and we can click on. But most importantly, we want to understand, well, what are the questions that are getting the most amount of views and impressions each and every month? And on top of that, what kind of search terms are they returning for? So how much is a PS4 now, as an example? That returns for 26 different keywords, and it's got nearly 2.9 million views each and every month. VG stores at this moment in time are doing very well. Prices in Nigeria, and we're looking in the US market. Is there an opportunity for a US provider to go after that particular question and write their own content around that? What's really nice about this tool as well is that we can actually start to utilize the filters in a powerful way. If we take the filters, and then what we do is we click here on question, what we can say is, if I'm doing a campaign, I don't know, on Nintendo, as an example, I can then choose the questions contain the word Nintendo. And what it highlights to me is, well, if I'm going to start writing content or an FAQ page or something around Nintendo that I want to do, well, these are going to be the top 4 or 5 questions that I'm going to be answering, because I know my customers are answering them. My customers are asking these questions, so I need to answer them. Okay. Top one there. Which Nintendo Switch is the best to buy? I mean, that returns for 9 different keywords and over 3 million views every single month. So this People Also Ask tool was our first, I suppose, Explorer tool that we created. And the last thing that I'm going to show you today is actually that our new Feature Explorer. And it's very much in beta at the moment, and very few people have seen it. So if you are on here today, hopefully you'll like what you're seeing. So we keep most of our kind of beta tools before we process them in our labs area. So if you are a customer of Pi and you want to get access to this, ask your customer success manager to go to the labs, or if you're not a customer of Pi and you're on here seeing this for the first time today, book a demo in and we can go into this in really a lot more detail. So what does it do? First of all, you choose the feature you want to go into depth about. So at this moment in time, it's top stories I'm going to pick. I then choose the dimension about how I want to sort this data. Again, we've got search term or title. I'm interested in looking at the title of the news article. I choose my space, and again, we'll stick to gaming and select that there as well. Now, what this is going to do is similar to what the People Also Ask Explorer does. It's going to go through every single search term on a particular day, and it's going to highlight all of the different top stories that return. Okay, and then what it's going to do, it's going to give us a table of information highlighting the title of that story, who's currently returning for that particular news story. And this is where we get to the kind of the juicy stuff. It tells us what search terms that particular article returns for. So gaming laptop, Black Friday, deals, gaming laptop deals. Okay. It tells us how many impressions that particular story is getting, and then what kind of average position it's currently sitting at. So we can start to analyze the SERPs to understand, well, this kind of news articles are really doing really well in this space. Okay. And if I want to look at a site, maybe I want to look at IGN. I know they've got 5 different articles there. I can then start digging deeper into those guys. What it also does, which is quite nice, it tells you how often that particular feature is present. So actually, top stories in this space, only 3.5% of the time. So what I want to do actually is what we saw earlier is we looked at popular products, and we saw that that was getting more and more popular in regards to the SERP. So again, let's choose popular products this time, and let's explore that. So again, we're going into all of the SERPs on a certain day. We're seeing every keyword where popular products returns for, and we're now starting to get the information back purely on that particular feature. As we go down, we can now start to understand, well, what are the product titles? What titles are people using to optimize it in a particular way? We're now getting what sites are returning for that product. And really interestingly, we're also getting the price here as well. So we're actually starting to bring in that information. So for the Crew Furniture Classic Video Rocker Gaming Chair, okay, well, actually we're seeing people doing it at different prices and depending on the keyword as well. What's really nice about this is we're actually seeing how present it is, nearly 70% of the time, and which stores are owning popular products as well. What you might notice is, which is why it's in beta, is you've got a double A there, double B, and so on. But again, this is the kind of stuff that will allow us to actually really start to dig deeper into these SERP features to help us out with our strategies internally. Now, I think that's pretty much it from there. I mean, there's lots more features than I could take you through, but if you do want to kind of see any more about that, please let us know, get in contact, and I can set up a demo around this as well. Okay, so going back into here, the next part we're just going to do is Q&A. So do we have any questions? Let's have a little look. Okay, is there a limit on the number of sites you can add when monitoring the SERP features? Good question. No, there isn't actually, in the simplest way. As I was mentioning through the kind of the demo there, Pi is truly site agnostic. And what that means is that every single day we collect the top 100 pieces of content, regardless of the SERP feature. And what that gives us the ability to do is collate all of that information together. So you're not restricted by any amount of site that you want to go after. Pi actually gives you the ability to save as many different sites as you want, and you can have subdomains in there, path URLs, or even just URLs. You choose how you want to analyze the data. I've got another question here. How would you prioritize which search terms to analyze when using the SERP matrix tool? I have thousands of terms. Again, really good question. Something I haven't shown you guys today, and that is our search volume timeline tool. Now, our search volume timeline tool is a really cool piece of kit. And what it does is it allows us to understand the trends over the last 3 years. So what you can do, you can look at that on a market level, a category level, a subcategory level, or really go quite niche in regards to keyword level if you really wanted to. And that will show you the peaks and the troughs of everything that's happening around your keyword universe. And what it does, it allows us to understand, well, if something's starting to peak or starting to grow, then we need to go and analyze the SERPs in a certain way, okay? And that's at the particular point that I would say that it triggers me to go into the matrix and understand, well, what's happening with the SERP results at this moment in time. So I know it's evolving and I know more and more people are searching for it. So that's the way I would utilize the tool. Also, most people have their trophy terms. I mean, I think we looked at PS5 as an example. Now, PS5, you're probably going to keep on that most of the time, but Black Friday, Christmas and stuff like that, that's going to be another time that you're really going to start to focus on that particular area. Just seeing if we've got any more questions. No, I think that's it. If you do have any more questions, please just get in contact. I mean, like I said, if you're a customer already, talk to your customer success manager. They'll be able to set up kind of an insight session with you guys to kind of go through these tools that we've gone through. And if you're not, then set up a demo with myself or one of the team, and we'll more than happily take you through not just what we've seen today, but all of the other elements of Pi as well. The final thing to mention, a save the date moment, 30th of November. Our next demo series edition is going to be around competitor analysis. Now, for me, this is one of my favorite areas to get into in Pi. I mean, there's loads of different ways that you can look at competitor analysis, and I'm not going into it too much. I've shown you, well, I wanted to show you the competitor discovery tool today, but I guarantee you if you come back to the next one, it'll be working for that. And then we're also going to be looking at data types like position data, visibility data, which is one of John Earnshaw's favorite visibility indexes, what it allows you to monitor the SERPs and algorithm updates and the impact of that. And then finally, share of voice and our organic value score. Thank you very much for today. I hope you like what you've seen. Any questions, please do get in contact. Thank you very much.